Welcome back to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld. I have one of my favorite people, one of my favorite guests, someone, a lot of people talk about angels, but not that many people really can say they have an experience of angels like Lorna Byrne. And Lorna, it's great to have you back on my program again. So thank you for being here.
Well, I'm delighted to be here talking with you and seeing you because I haven't seen you for years. With the pandemic and everything, no traveling or anything like that. So it's a great pleasure for me now to see you on screen and to be able to chat with you as well. You haven't changed one bit. You look fantastic.
I guess that's good. Thank you. Well, you're looking fantastic. And we did a bunch of really great things in New York. We hosted that big church sort of audience. That was fun. And Lorna is reissuing, or her publishers are reissuing her most, I guess, your best-selling book. Here it is. Here it is, Angels in My Hair, which I totally recommend for anyone who wants to understand Lorna's work. Angels in My Hair. It's really a fantastic book. It's just been reissued with additional information. Is that what's in this book?
Yeah, it's an additional chapter. I suppose maybe to tell you the story, Alan, was, my publisher sent my daughter an email asking, would I do a new chapter for Angels in My Hair because they wanted to republish it, so I was actually very excited about that. Wow, republishing it, it's been out 15 years now, and it has sold over 1 million copies.
Yes.
All around the world. Yeah. And it was very exciting to do the chapter, but I was very kind of scared as well, because here I was saying, I was saying to God and the angels, but what can I talk to them about? What else do people want to know? And just the Archangel Michael just said to me one day, I want to reflect on the last 15 years. And I just remember saying to him, I don't think I wrote it in the book, but I said, that's a very scary thing, because I know with my books, probably everyone feels I write about my emotions, but I don't open up fully in that sense. So to reflect back on the last 15 years, because to me, Angels in My Hair is not about me, it's about you. It's about everyone else out there in the world. So I did find that part, difficult. But I think I told two stories in it. I know one was when I was in San Francisco, and I spoke about spirituality as well, so I've given a little bit more information in that way. But the one disappointing thing was, my publisher said they would have the book out, we're republishing it, and then they had no books. I believe they have them now, like, but at the beginning, it's whatever happened. And I suppose with the pandemic as well, just things are slower in taking off, and things weren't judged properly in that way. But I know you can get the book on what do we call? I'm not very technical. Amazon, yeah. And UK or something, or for any bookshops in Ireland or England.
Well, you're going to be at Omega in New York, which is a really beautiful place in upstate New York, July 21st to the 23rd. And then you're going to be in North Carolina, Boone, at the Art of Living Center, the 28th to the 30th. So people can meet you. And, I did help you do an evening once, but what do you do when you're in the workshop? People just ask you question, or do you have a teaching?
I'll probably have a teaching and everything. I have to say to everybody, I haven't looked that far ahead because I'm chock-a-block, as we would say in Ireland. I have so much on, so I haven't looked. That's July, that's not yet, you know. But I think we already maybe sent them something saying what we do the workshops on, you know. So I do love teaching, and I do love, you know, talking to people and helping them to grow more spiritually, to be more connected to their soul and their guardian angel, and more connected to the universe, to our world, you know, because I think that is so important. And, you know, the angels always taught me everything out in nature. And when I think of that now, you know, we know a bit more about our planet, and our planet is part of the universe. You know, it's a very small part, and the universe surrounds it, you know, so it's like in a different sense, you know, we're kind of accustomed to what is only in our tiny area as such, but the angels brought me further than that. That's the only way I can say it. They opened up the universe that is surrounding us that we miss seeing. You know, I just say everyone only looks at things we have forgotten how to see.
But then can you tell us right here, not to give all the workshop away, but how can we get closer to, you know, the angels, the spirituality? How do you suggest that?
Well, to me, it's actually very simple, you know, and that's one thing I love. Like the angels have taught me very simply, you know, from the moment I was born in that sense. And it is, you know, I think the simplest thing is for even for yourself or anyone else out there is just to say to yourself, you're going to give yourself a chance. I'm going to believe. I'm going to allow myself to feel everything around me, to see everything, not just to look in a glance in that way. And in a sense, asking your guardian angel or any angel you want to ask, you know, asking God, you know, to open your eyes, you know, to help you to start to see through the eyes of your soul, you know, not just your human eyes in that way. And I suppose another thing would be, how would I say this? You know, when you start to allow yourself to see through the eyes of your soul, and you start to love yourself and be conscious of your soul and your guardian angel and all of that energy and power and all the energy that is around you and coming from everything, you know, you don't just start to feel it. You know, you start to, in a sense, become so conscious of it that every step you take, you notice if there's a difference. You know, and that part I think can be very exciting for people as well. But I think the most important thing is to love you, to be conscious of your soul and be conscious of your guardian angel and that you're not alone.
Well, are you getting more visions as it's or the same for are you seeing more of the bigger reality now because you you're you know expanding spiritually yourself? So what's happening?
Well, I would say to you, if anyone ever says to you they know everything, that's not true because I'm still learning. You know, I'm still learning. So how could anyone know everything? So what was your question? I lost you there.
It's about that exactly. Like, so what have you learned? What more are you seeing now? How are you different in this or expanded more?
How would I say this? You know, what I have told already is very little of what I know and see all the time. So it's like with each book that I have written, I've given a little bit more, because if I gave it all in one go, it's, how would I say, God said you would throw it away, it would be too much in that way. So every time I write, I give a little bit more. And now I'm teaching and giving talks, and answering questions. And how would I say, I had an American group over there at one stage. I don't know how long ago, but I was, at least I think they were American. I could have it wrong. But I was teaching them how to love themselves, to feel that link to your soul. And I was helping them to allow themselves to make a stronger link to their guardian angel as well, and to plants. And like I could tell so much more. I'm only kind of giving you a little kind of wonder in that sense. But it's like, how would I say, when I'm teaching, I need people to be there with me.
In person.
In person. And I'm teaching my daughter and my son and all, and they're so fascinated by it themselves, So they're helping out as well. Like
Well, I know you're very humble in the sense where, but you're different, you're special, you have a gift. And when I introduced you once, I said you're in the world, but not of the world. You're spanning these dimensions, really, which is important that someone like you is here to show others that there are these other realities, there are these other levels of being. And I'm always interested in everything because you're also so intuitive. You're also I know you don't talk about that, but you also can see into people's bodies. You can, and give them love, and you're a conduit for the angelic realm as well. It comes through you when you speak,
I love the way you say all of that, but I don't think of myself in that way at all. I just think of myself as just an ordinary person.
Mm-hmm.
I would say everybody else out there in the world, you are all more than ordinary. You are the important ones. It's that nothing is about me. It's about you. And I know you say sometimes when someone says, Lorna, you have a gift. I'm kind of looking around, what gift? What are they talking about? Because it's normal, it's natural.
Yeah.
And I want it to become normal and natural for everyone else. And I know it will in the future. And I know we're on that journey. We've already begun. More and more people. And I'm just meeting so many young people who are, what would you say, so connected spiritually, and they work in every, what would you say, every part of whatever jobs that are out there. They're in all kinds of professionals, and they would just say, that they have become so aware and more open. And one thing they found that helped them a lot was knowing they had a guardian angel, but knowing that they had a soul as well, that spark of light, and connecting to that. And it was kind of like, I remember one young man saying to me, when he never thought in one way that he had a soul or there was anything more to himself than just, flesh and blood in that way, and that he could think and he had a mind. But now he says he thinks beyond that, and he does feel that connection to his soul and to that love that he's what would you say? We're all scared of love, and yet we're all yearning for it, longing for it, but we're all afraid of it. And he's saying he's losing that fear, because he knows it's never ending and he knows it's pure. And he's finding it easier now to enjoy his work, to love it, and to be a more loving person. And he just says, I notice everything, and what way did he say it? Blooming. He used the word blooming around him, where he wouldn't have noticed these things before.
Yeah, but that's a good thing you're saying, because people are more open these days. And of course, your book has sold over 1 million copies. So the world is changing, and your influence, not to make you special, but your work. No, I know you're just a regular person with but what do you see for the future? We've just been through a hard time the last couple of years, and you're a visionary. What do you see?
What I can say to you, I have written about some of the futures I have seen, but they're all the one, and all very positive. And I know at the moment we're still going through, chaos. We're totally confused and mixed up, and in a sense, spiritually and humanly, we don't know what's right or wrong in that way. We're fighting even over things that are right.
Yeah.
And then we're fighting over things that are wrong, but we don't know how to make them right just at the moment. But we're getting there. I see it happening, and to me that's the wonderful thing. I've seen that, what would I say, spark of light, of hope, getting bigger all of the time. So I know that humanly we can do it in that way. But in one sense, I suppose maybe that's why God has me still here, in the world, talking about the things that, in a sense, we yearn and long for, and that you can't buy. They're not for sale. And that's love and kindness and hope and forgiving and accepting each other. Like I had a young boy say to me a few days ago, Lorna, why do you care? Why do you do this for us? And I remember at a workshop, I used his same words, because quite a lot of young people are saying this. Why do you do this for us? Why do you care? And no matter what the difference are, I just see this incredible human being, this beautiful, incredible soul that's so enormous, and the guardian angel. And I love them regardless. So it is that I love them, and I would love us all to, connect in that love a little bit more. But I know we're doing it. We are trying. Even though I know the other day I heard on the news in America somewhere that a young man, knocked on the wrong door, and he was shot dead, and he was only a kid. And that it was a very elderly man that had shot him. And that was, that's heart-rending. But then you have to think of the elderly man. I suppose he's seeing all the scary things on the TV and the news, and he was probably terrified. He didn't know who was at his door. But yet there's no, what would I say, to lose a child is just something that there's no words for, and especially in that way,
Yeah.
So we'd like to take the fear that people have, so that they won't make mistakes, take it away, and at the moment the world is just putting a lot of anger and hate and fear there. but yet I see the love. It's like, that love is it's just pouring in, you know. So I tell everyone to, if you're walking down the street, give a smile. You just might save someone's life or change what they're thinking. You're showing goodness, you're showing kindness, it is hard, but I see an incredible future. I see where the whole world comes together, and we come together, what would I say, as one. And America is the gateway. I have written about that. I don't know what book I've written about it in. One of them, so I'm kind of saying, what's happening to America? Come on, wake up. Don't be listening to the negative, or don't be listening to the person who might be, what would I say, so focused on material things, and is a saying we use in Ireland is kind of pulling the wool over your eyes, in that way. We have to want everything that is good for all of us, not just for a few. And I know we can do it. Just let's, make that spiritual connection and connect to the incredible universe that is around us, and connect to our guardian angel and to our soul. By the way, God is real, and I know God still has me here, even though I give out lots of times.
You give what?
I give out.
Give out?
I give out to God. I know American don't you use that, but I complain, maybe, if that's what you'd like to say. But in Ireland we say I give out, I'm giving out to God. I'm not agreeing with him. I'm saying, why aren't you doing more, and all of that.
What does God say to you then?
He just tells me, there just a little while ago, he just said to me, Lorna, have patience. It's all going to work out for the best. Wait till you see. The good will rise. And it's like, even though those that are angry and hurting, and it's like the good will rise in them too, because everybody is good. Yeah. Even when someone is angry, they're good. They're just hurt and torn apart over something.
But, you see so many dimensions, and, you're connected to other realms. But personally, I know you don't like to talk personally, but don't you love being here on Earth? Or don't you love, no, you gave me
I have to smile. I have, what would I say? This is a hard one. Yeah, I do love being here, but I would prefer to be out there.
Good. Why?
I would prefer, because how would you say, how can I answer a part of this? Like I always say, if God took me tomorrow, I would go. Willingly. And my children know that. My children have always known that. But every time I have, what would you say, died, which has happened on a few occasions already, and God sends me back. And that is something I would give out to God about, because when you go back out into all of creation as such, how would I can say, there's so much love, and you're just free. It's, our human body, and even the human brain, the human consciousness, in that sense, is restricted, and it's not perfect in any way, and it makes huge mistakes, but it is great being human, because we are as well very creative, and we are very, very loving and caring. We just sometimes get everything all mixed up. And we have so much more, humanly to learn. Like, there's, in one sense, we think that we know everything about our planet and the universe around our planet. But let me tell you, you don't at all. So,
No,
one, say what you were going to say.
I was just going to say, don't you think we have forever to be in those other realms? And like right now, there's something very special about, this is how I feel about being in the body, feeling the earth, breathing the air, and feeling ourselves, the human. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think, what would I say? Humanly, I would always say I don't know why God or creator, whatever you want to call God, whatever faith you are, fell in love with whatever we were at the beginning, because we were part of that creation. And creation is still going on, it's still happening, right around you all of the time. But I know lots of people say that, and I'll probably get into trouble for this, but that the soul has to learn. The soul doesn't need to learn anything. It already knows. Like, it already knows.
But why did we come into the body? We came here for a reason?
Why did your soul, you mean, come into your human body?
Yes.
Again, it's kind of, I would say again, I don't know why God fell in love and gave us that tiny spark of itself.
Yeah.
And put it into the human, no matter what stage it was. I don't know at what stage. And, it's like, I don't know. God has never told me what he saw in us. So I can't answer that in probably the way you want. But the soul, and God doesn't need to learn anything. He already knows. And already, what would I say, is still creating. We kind of humanly, and we are amazing human beings because we are so creative, and we have experienced so much already. But we still have, as human beings, to learn more, and I would say for that intertwining, because I speak of it a lot, the intertwining of the human body and the soul, becoming one, then, again, that's what would I say, in an incredible time of evolution, of enormous change. And you won't grow old then. You won't die. The human body won't get sick. But at the moment, we kind of talk as if, I'm a human being, one. And when we start to believe I'm a spiritual being, this is the other. We haven't yet. We are getting closer, to bring both together and allow them to intertwine.
Yeah, well, that's why it's so beautiful to talk to you, because you're an example, not that you're special, but you're an example of something that is divine in a sense. Your connection. And imagine if the whole world had that. That's what I think you're saying.
Well, I would be saying, please hurry up. And I would be saying to America, what would I say? Probably in an Irish way, come on, cop on, wake up, please, in that way. Because so much as Americans don't realize, because I've spoken of the gathering angels, in the books as well. But Americans have been gathered from all over the world. Right. All over the world. You were at the beginning of different national, I can't say that word. Can you say it?
Nationalities.
Yeah, okay. You were all different, but now you are one, but you just don't realize it.
Yeah, you've said
You
that.
know,
Yeah. You've said that on my show when I first met you. When was that? Was like what, a while ago, 15 years ago or something.
oh, yeah, definitely.
You said America was a special example for the world of gathering all the people together in this sort of human experiment. I don't think you said it that way, but you know, there's something. The gathering angels. We talk about what that means. The gathering angels.
Well, the American Gathering Angels, they're still at work. They're still at work, and that actually amazes me, because when you watch the news on America, America is at the moment, at times over the last number of years, trying to, in a sense, stop people coming in, you know. But I suppose you have to remember there could be one in among those people that will make a huge difference for the nation of America. And I know, you have the American Indians, so they're Americans as well. They were brought there first in that sense. And they're full of so much knowledge and spiritual knowledge as well. And but maybe it's not listened to enough in that way, and which I would love. So I would just love American people to, say to themselves, I am inside the gateway. I'm here. I'm part and a huge part of the bigger picture. So, take that little step, whatever size step you want to take, and in a sense, say to yourself, what have you got to lose by allowing yourself to connect spiritually to the other half of you, and allow the human being and the spiritual being to get closer.
Yeah, no, that's what's so beautiful about you is the fact that I know you're a Catholic, but you're very open to other ways people worship because it's all the same God, really. And you've been very much a radical in making the bridge to other ways of worship.
Yeah, I know sometimes when I go to a place to give a talk or a workshop, there mightn't be one Catholic there. They could be of another faith or none, or mixed in that sense. God is God, and no matter what way we pray, or in the sense of, the way we allow ourselves to grow spiritually, to make that connection. And to me, it's actually very simple. I don't know why people think it's hard. It's like, what would I say? A baby learning how to walk, to stand up, to get up on its hunkers. So spiritually we're doing that. And some of us are a little bit more ahead than others because maybe we have got up off our hunkers.
Yeah.
Maybe we have someone else has just sat up. But I think that one important thing is you should never put yourself above anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And that's what's so great about you. I know you probably could have not been a mother or a wife and all that. You could have just went into the nunnery, right? And just
They wouldn't take me.
why is that? Why is
I don't think I put it into one of the books. Maybe I didn't.
no
I that is one thing I always gave out to God about, even as a child, a teenager, even when I was working in pennies, um, I could go and be a nun, and that would be wonderful. Like, God, why don't you allow that? And Archangel Michael told me, Lorna, they won't take you. And I asked, why not? And Archangel Michael just said, because you know what your family thinks of you, and you know what the doctors had said, so I could imagine if I did go in, because I'm severely dyslexic, so they considered me retarded, and in Ireland that was, not just retarded, but stupid in that sense. So I have to learn things a different way, and that hasn't changed.
No, but yeah, I'm so happy you are decided to be in the world, because I think maybe your journey, and also the journey for a world, is that you are an example of someone who's very devout and yet very much in the world, and very much, it's giving you, just my opinion, more experiences to draw on and to teach. If you were just isolated, it would be a different level of work. Your work is big. I mean, just think of the fact that 1 million people have read your book. I mean, that's fantastic. And the book is, yes, not about you. It's about their own spiritual possibilities. So yeah, you've the angels working through you have given this gift to the world that wouldn't have been possible. So no, it's not about you, but it is about who you have had the courage to be too. Because yeah, I know your family thought you were dyslexic or mentally, impaired, and yet you weren't. You're just, different. You're just yourself, and that's
Yeah, that's something I would say to everybody. Don't try and be someone else. Be you.
yeah.
That's very, very important. Some people would say to me, and sometimes young people or someone, in their 30s, I want to be like so, like, and they would say, that they were working on that all these years, and they're wondering why they're not successful like this other person. But it's because they're not being themselves. You have to be you. I can't be anyone but me.
Yeah.
And so you've got to be you, and allow the human being that you are and the spiritual being to just start to shine, to blossom.
That was so, but you see how important it was for you to be in the world, because you helped a lot of people who don't know their connection to spirit, who don't know who they are, and they're afraid to be themselves. And you've had a hard time being yourself because people didn't understand you. Your family was going to put you away, and I mean, they were nice people, but they didn't understand the vastness of your consciousness. So it's important, and the world is changing. More people are opening up to this amazing consciousness. So thank you for sticking it with us.
Well, I would say again, I wouldn't be who I am today only for I've gone through everything that I have gone through. Sometimes we kind of say, why why did why did someone have to suffer all of, suffer in the sense. But everything you go through in life kind of molds you and shapes you in that way. And to me, I would never call it, in a sense, hardship, even though the world has told me it is. I would never call it suffering, even though the world tells me it's suffering. And I suppose growing spiritually helps you to look on reality in a completely different way. it changes it.
Well, I know I don't want to call it suffered, but I know you've been through hard times too. And how do you integrate, you lost your husband you were in love with, and that was hard. And how do you integrate that into this human experience?
I don't know how to answer that.
But you made peace with it all in a sense, because you see the bigger picture, maybe. That's what you mean.
Yeah, I guess like I know Joe wouldn't have been able to cope with the world. Things were getting harder for him to live, to survive, and so I know physically and mentally he wouldn't have been able, even though I gave out to God for taking him, for that day that he did die. But yet, how would I say, at times he comes into my life still, because that's one thing we have to remember. Our loved ones, they're not dead, they're very much alive, and again, it's because of the spiritual side of us, that soul, that spark of light. Because the soul gives such a human appearance of Joe. And as a young man, what would I say? And that smile and that laughter and speaks, with the same voice, everything of that kindness and that love. And I think we kind of forget, because a lot of people don't even believe that, a human being has a soul, but yet sometimes after the loss of a loved one that they were very close to, they start to experience feeling their presence, and why humanly we can feel the presence, some of us, and I would say most of us really, of a loved one, is because we knew the essence of them, but we weren't aware of it. And again, that's part of making that connection spiritually as well.
Yeah, I'm just curious about when people are just on the other side, time is different for them and their reality is different, but there's still things to learn, right? On that.
Well, they don't need to learn anything. The soul doesn't need to learn anything, but they come back to help us. They help us through our grief. Like some people would just say when they were going through a difficult time, their loved one died 10 years ago, and all of a sudden they knew they were there. That's the only way they could say it. I knew they were there, and they said, I knew then we would somehow get through this difficulty because we had the support of the soul of a loved one.
But I also liked what you said earlier. We're coming to a time maybe there is no death, where the body is merging with the soul. And when is that happening again? When?
Well, one thing I'll say to you, I shouldn't be here, so I must be partly,
Yeah.
and not fully intertwined. And sometimes when someone does die, God sends them back, to live life. And sometimes when that happens, the person will say they had a near-death experience, but they don't know what they have to do. They have to live.
Yeah.
It's simple. You have to live. And in a sense, you come back, so you're not, in a sense, the same human being, because you've made that connection. So sometimes I was shown, where somebody was sent back, or somebody was, what's that other word, can I pronounce it? Reincarnated, which seldom happens. you know, and it was just to show love. It was to teach everyone around them how to love.
So
So simple by their actions.
you believe in reincarnation, right? You're aware that
I'm yes, it does happen, but not hugely. Why would you want to come back, by the way?
learn more, to learn to
But the
experience,
soul doesn't need to learn more. The
but
soul already knows, but it's like on occasions God sends someone back. And I remember speaking to a psychiatrist, and he said, he had many patients that, believed they were, a king, or they were Jesus, or they were, what's that lady? I can't think of her. Well, in history, some big, huge names.
yeah,
And they believed that's who they were now, that they had come back as them. And he just said he doesn't mind them believing that, because if it's helping them mentally just to live life,
yeah,
even though, they mentally they are unstable, but if they're living life and they're happy, he said, I'm happy then for my patient.
yeah. But when do you see in the next 20 years or maybe 100 years where we can fully merge, humans can fully merge with their soul in this great, what they call the golden age, or whatever you want to call it, will be here on Earth?
Well, I do believe it's already starting. I do believe that. Why would God have me here? Like, he still has me here, and I still give out about that. You know, um, so I'm just, as I just say, it's not about me, it's about everyone in the world. It's about every living thing, you know, please God it'll be. I would love it. I believe it's already starting to happen, because I already meet, children, young people, and sometimes I meet, you know, an elderly person, and I would just have to smile,
Mm,
in that way, because even them themselves have begun.
yeah.
And so, God, wouldn't it be lovely if it was in the next 20 years? Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I would love that, or another big step. But America needs to, what would I say, the people of America, all Americans need to come together as one and show how incredible and loving and caring they are, and have that torch of light, of hope, for changing the world into the incredible future I have been shown. Like, it's like, how would I say? I think I describe it a little bit in the book, but it's like this big huge gateway. It's like inside it, the American people, and all of them. There's no because one is different than the other. All of them, you know, the intertwining has, rapidly, and all that you want to do is kind of, and you feel it from them, that love.
Well, that,
And then they go out the gate.
mm,
They go out into the rest of the world.
mm, beautiful.
That's the only way I can describe it.
That is beautiful. I really appreciate your vision and that possibility and holding. And I think maybe that's why you're here, still here, because you're part of this welcoming committee to this greater reality. Yeah. So are you, I know we'll wrap up soon because it's almost an hour. Are you seeing though more different angels? Are you seeing more? I mean, you're always learning, you said, but is there different quality of angels coming as we kind of graduate?
I love the way you use quality. I never see that in an angel in the sense of, and I think that's the human part of us. We think one person might be better than another or more educated, and that doesn't happen with the angels. There's lots of angels I have never even spoken of as well. I have only given a few, really, a handful in that sense. So in one way, how would I say it? Angels they're in abundance. There's no shortage of them, and even when we intertwine our human body and our soul together, the angels will be with us and you will see them.
Thank you.
You will see them. And that's an important thing. And then the other thing is that you would even see the souls of your loved ones that would have died before that happened.
Beautiful.
It's the universe, how would I say, just expands more.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Are you writing more books about the angels you've never talked about?
Yeah, I'm starting on a new book myself at the moment, and I'm just about started, a couple of lines. But I'm after being like co-writer with somebody else, and I hopefully that book might come out, the end of the year or early next year.
Well, so happy to reconnect with you and to see your smiling face and to know your.
Same here.
Yeah, I hope to see you. If I'm in Ireland, I'll let you know. But I don't think maybe. Oh, I know you're going to be at Omega. Yeah, Lorna's coming to Omega Institute, which is a beautiful place if you've never been there in upstate New York. It's
No, I've never been there, so I'm looking forward to it.
big campus. I think it's be a summer camp, but there's a beautiful lake there, and there's lots of different workshops, and there's this big dining room with great food. So Omega's one of my favorite places in New York. So maybe I'll catch up with you there or someplace.
Look forward to that. You can stay in touch with my daughter Pearl. But it'd be no point you coming to Ireland and I'm not here, if you know what I mean. You kind of have to make sure I'm here.
If I'm over there, I'll make sure that you're there when you're there. So but and Lorna's first book, Angels in My Hair, is such a beautifully written book, and it's just been re-released. Is this Penguin is the publisher?
Yeah, I think it's Penguin. Again, I'm no good at that part, but Angels in My Hair is the name of the book. Angels in My Hair.
It's a beautiful retelling of your life story and how you got to be come out of the closet in a way to share your gifts, because it is a gift, of course, and everybody has gifts, yes, but somehow you're in the spotlight because you're humble. I know it's not about you, Lorna. It's not about you, but you're sweet. You're a good person. You're nice. You're nice to be around. You're fun, and you love a lot of people. I see how you embrace people when they come up to you, and they need that. They do.
Well, thank you, and I just want to thank all your listeners as well. And I'm just asking on their behalf that they will open up another little bit spiritually as well, that they will connect more strongly with their guardian angel and their soul. And maybe I'll meet more.
Well, just to remind people about what you say, that everyone has a guardian angel and they're waiting to be acknowledged because they're here to help us through the difficult and through the opening up more. So I feel that more when I'm talking to you, actually, you know.
Well, that's good. Well, I think it is, I think people realizing that they had a guardian angel, that a guardian angel is there all of the time and never leaves them for 1 second, and that they are loved regardless and not judged in any way. To your guardian angel, you are its number one. It only has, in a human expression, eyes for you, no one else.
If no, wait, say that part again. No one has what?
It only has eyes for you, no one else.
Your guardian angel has eyes
Yeah.
looking out for you because everyone has one.
Yes,
And
yes.
of course, there's so many different levels of angelic realms that you talk about. And yeah, there's a guy who does a show on angels. I'll put him in touch with you about because he's also very much into actually, yeah. Yeah, he interviewed me recently. He sat in for you when you were supposed to be someplace and you couldn't make it. This got his name, Michael.
I can't remember now, to be honest.
But anyway, thank you for your just for being a friend, but also a teacher and an example of someone who's on the path.
Well, thank you very much for Alan for having me on your show again.
You,
So that's a blessing. So thank you.
well, it's a blessing for everyone and me, and we're glad we're friends.
Yes.
Hope to see you. And Lorna will be in Omega Institute July 21st and in the Art of Living in Boone. I think it's July 27th, 2023. So, and get her book because I find it inspirational and I'm excited about the other books you're writing. And
Well, I'm looking forward, and I know I'm going to be in. Is it called Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, yeah, maybe.
Pittsburgh as well in August, the 4th and the 5th
Okay.
as well.
All right. Thank you, Lorna.
Okay, love you lots and God bless. Okay, bye
Thank
bye.
your visionary work and we'll do more in the States. Maybe I'll set up some other, speaking engagements for you because you have a big audience here that want to meet you. So we'll do that. Thank you
Okay,
for,
thank you. Thank you. God bless.
thanks
Bye
for
bye.
helping you and thanks soon. See you soon. Thanks. Really great to see your face. Thank you.
Same here.
Bye. See you soon.